Hello everybody, this is going to be a video that's talking specifically about the Sand King Anti-Mage matchup, and we're going to talk about this matchup specifically, and I would hope not only are you going to learn a lot about this matchup, but you're also going to learn a lot about how to think about matchups. Most notably, your skill build needs to match your item build.
Banana slam jam.
So if you don't know, Sand King is traditionally hard countered by Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage is good against magical damage, and he's weak against physical damage. And Sand King has pretty low base damage. And basically, Anti-Mage burns your mana, buys Ring of Health, outsustains your Sandstorm, and then you get booted out of lane, and when he's level 6, he can kill you, and you can't really kill him, just based on the kits that your heroes have. It's important to understand that there's matchups like this where one hero counters the other. In this case, Anti-Mage countering Sand King. But it's not only important to understand that one hero counters the other, but it's important to understand why that hero counters the other. And the entire premise of this matchup is that Anti-Mage is able to burn your mana, and early levels Sand King's pretty weak, so Anti-Mage can take over the lane for the first level or two, and that's all by virtue of hitting you, because you're not like a Slardar or a Legion where you right-click them pretty hard back. Because the way to deal with Anti-Mage is mana-less spells that have heroes with high physical damage. That, obviously, like I said, mana-less. They rely on not using their mana so that they can trade with Anti-Mage despite losing all of their mana. So basically, Anti-Mage counters Sand King if he's allowed to hit Sand King. That's pretty much all there is to it. If Sand King's allowed to click me, I lose all my mana, and thus I can't lane. So that really comes down to a lot of things. But mainly, I'd say the support matchup. Does my support, if I hit the Anti-Mage and he hits me back, and my support hits Anti-Mage and their support hits me, or something along those lines, what's going to happen? So in this specific replay, they have a 5-position Dark Willow, shit-ass laner, terrible in lane, and I have a Lina, one of the strongest early game laning supports in the entire game, and whose most of which her damage is right-click. So we're going to see in this lane that I go for right-click items, because I know there's no CSing in this lane for me. The way I win this lane is not by CSing, it's by making it so Anti-Mage can't hit me. So Willow does step out of position, and we end up getting first blood, but honestly that's irrelevant to what I'm about to talk about. So this comes with the vision that I know if Anti-Mage clicks me, and I click him back, and I lose that, then I have to go very passively in lane. Otherwise, I can build up be hyper-aggressive in lane. So I'm going to try to get my early level 2. Notice how I'm pushing the lane pretty fast. And I'm going to use all of my mana as soon as possible. And the first items I'm going to fly myself are a Bracer and 2 Mangoes, because I want to be sitting on no mana. And notice how I'm spinning the entire lane just right-clicking, and Willow, as a support, is pretty weak at right-clicking me back. So I'm just spinning the entire wave, using all of my mana to basically bully the opponent. And notice how Willow, being a very weak support, has died to me twice already. And Anti-Mage wants to hit me, but now I just don't give a shit. I have Caustic Finale, and this is my skill build, right? And I get a kill almost on Anti-Mage, and now I'm just going to be sitting on no mana with a Mango, right? And obviously Gunner, and just for the record, you know, if you're wondering, hey, BSJ stomping some noobs, this is Gunner. So, not saying he's not a noob, but it is Gunner who's ranked 15 NA. So I want you to see my general approach to the lane, right? 2 points in Caustic, because Mangoes only give me 110 mana, and Barrow Strike level 2 is more than 110 mana. And Caustic's the ability that is mana-less that helps me deal with Anti-Mage. And so after I've gotten this early lead, these early kills, I go for these pure sustain right-click items. That's all I care about. I want to be able to sit on top of the creep wave and make it so this Anti-Mage can't hit me. I don't care about chasing him down. I don't care about anything else. I first need to be able to sit on top of the creep wave and make it so Anti-Mage can't hit me. So you're seeing my items, and you're seeing my skill build. Yes, I put more points in Burrow, but that's mainly because if you're going to max Caustic, there's no reason to have points in Sandstorm, because that means you're farming. But this is a bully lane. I don't want to try to out-farm the Anti-Mage. I want to try to run at him constantly. Notice how every time he walks up, I'm walking to hit him. I'm trying to do as much damage as I possibly can as he's trading with me. I'm sitting on no mana. I fly myself an extra Mango. Now that I've got that bit of sustained damage from these bracers, now I'm buying the phase boost to run at him even harder. Because I'm purely relying on right-clicks. Sand King, not a traditionally physical damage building hero in the lane. Very rarely would I buy phase boosts. But against Anti-Mage, since I'm able to bully him with right-clicks, I'm buying phase boosts. Right? So notice how aggressive I'm playing up on the lane the entire time, and I'm burrowing him whenever I can. Establish that early advantage, and it turn into these... the way I'm playing the lane really shows with my items, right? And it's all about understanding that level 1. Because if level 1, Anti-Mage is able to burn all my mana, and I can't bully him, the lane's just over in his favor. But if it goes the way it did this lane, where I'm able to use all of my mana and wear away at all of his regen, kill his support a couple times, kill him once, then suddenly I can start playing like a bully. But we're going to do the flip side of this, right? This is 2 different Sand King games against Anti-Mage, right? So we talked about the conditions for when Anti-Mage is good against Sand King. So in this case, I have a Clockwork 4 position. So we have 2 strength melee heroes that are very bad at doing physical damage. Clockwork compared to Lena, very weak at that. And I also am against an Undying, probably the best lane support in the entire game to be dealing with strength heroes. So look at my item build compared to last game. Last game I went pure stats. I went Circlet, Gauntlet, and 2 branches with no quelling. And that was because I intended to hit the Anti-Mage, and that's all I cared about. But in this lane, I realize I'm against an Undying, who's going to soak my damage, and he's also going to hit me back really hard compared to what I would hit him. Unlike the Willow, Undying is not threatened by me. In that lane against the Willow, I was able to push her out, kill her once or twice, and make it so Anti-Mage was basically fighting me alone. But in this lane, that's absolutely not the case. If I try to man up on Undying or Anti-Mage, they're actually just going to fucking kill me. Like, there's actually no way ifs, ands, or buts about it. So in this lane, I'm playing the evasive, don't get hit by Anti-Mage, and then try to CS as much as I can with the Quelling Blade approach to this lane, right? This is a lane where last lane, we recognized we were able to bully the Anti-Mage, so we built to bully him. In this lane, I recognize I'm not able to do that, and thus I'm building to survive. I'm building to sustain. I'm building to basically not get my game ruined. This is very similar to the Mars video I recorded earlier this week, where we talk about how this guy went for like a very passive, basically what I call a cuck build, when he was in a 1v1 versus Lifestealer, where he could fight back. He could bully this Lifestealer because he got a really good start. He could have gone like phase, double bracer on Mars, and just hit the shit out of the Lifestealer. But instead, in a 1v1, like a decent matchup for him where he had a really good start, he went for Tranquil Boots in a bottle. And that to me is like reversing these 2 scenarios, right? It's like last lane where I could win, I go for this Tranquil Boots build. And it wouldn't work because I'm not trying to sustain the Anti-Mage, I'm trying to bully the shit out of him. But in this lane, I can't do that. I just can't. And it's about envisioning the support matchup, how it affects the carry matchup, and how you, basically the conditions for which matchups favor one hero or the other. So we just fast forward, and we're going to see that I play this very evasive, defensive creep aggro game, right? Defensive creep aggro, where I'm just going to drag creeps away. I'm basically just waiting for levels. And then let's look at my skill build in comparison in this game where we drag creeps and all this kind of shit. We're going to compare my skill build this game to last game, right? Last game I went 4-0-4. This game I'm going for 2 points max Sandstorm because I'm playing passively and I'm looking to sustain. And I'm rushing those Tranquil Boots because I know I can't bully the Anti-Mage. So since I know I can't bully him, I am just focusing on my own game, making it so if I'm in a disadvantageous matchup, that I come out of it with as much farm as possible so I'm not crippled. If I'm in an advantageous matchup, I'm looking to shut down the opponent as much as humanly possible. This applies to all lanings, like mid as well as carry, but especially as an offlaner, it's super important to have some sense of whether or not you're favored in the matchup and why. Starting to assess like why a matchup goes one way or the other in favor of one hero. And this is an example of a matchup is not just simple as black and white, where Anti-Mage is always good against Sand King. It's a matchup where if Sand King's not allowed to hit Anti-Mage and Anti-Mage's allowed to hit Sand King, Anti-Mage absolutely demolishes you. But if it's reversed, as you saw in the game against Gunnar, then Sand King can actually demolish the Anti-Mage. And a lot of it has to do with that level 1 momentum. And since the level 1 momentum is so important in this specific matchup, it's a lot about assessing which support and which lane duo is stronger level 1. Previous game, Willow, one of the weakest level 1 supports in the entire game. This game, Undying, one of the strongest level 1 supports in the game, as opposed to Clockwork, who's a pretty weak level 1 support. He's more of like a level 3 support when he gets 2 points in the battery assault. So this is so much about matchups, and it shows how dynamic your skill build and item build can be based on matchup to matchup, even if the supports are different and the cores are the same, or even if the cores are different but the supports are the same. That could mean you build the same items even though it's a different core. I've learned that a lot of items are usually good against certain supports. I build Fairy Fires against Witch Doctor. I build, Ring of Regen against a hero like Warlock, perhaps. I build a lot of stat items against CM because I'm going to get nuked. I build movement speed items if I'm against a hero like Undying. These are things that become habits. They become things you start to pay attention to because Undying wants to run at me, and so all I'm trying to do is prevent him from hitting me. That's all I'm trying to do because I know if I try to hit him back, it's not going to work. So please, guys, I hope you use this video as it is a how-to to think about the matchup between Anti-Mage and Sand King, but it's more than that. It's much more of a how to think about lane matchups and how to approach it. Most notably, your skill build needs to match your item build. Notice how this build, incredibly passive, farm-oriented. So I go for the sustain route, max sandstorm. Last game, I was much more of a bully, heavily aggressive, right-clicking the guy with burrow strike and caustic. And then I went phase boots, double bracer. So it really shows, in my opinion, my understanding of the matchup, and it also shows how big of an impact, because in the first game where I was favored, I crushed the anti-mage. And in this game where I'm unfavored, I still have decent farm going into the mid game. And that's what you're trying to accomplish in any laning stage. So if you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.